Hey sightseers! Remember these? If not, go check out my Cabela's shopping spree video. Yes, that is a shameless plug for you to go watch the video if you haven't already. Today's video, however, is about these socks. So moving right along, let's find out what makes these socks so video worthy.
What I'm doing is testing out whether the Basspro She Outdoor Pro Team Sock Scent Control Sock, yes, that is the real name of the sock, I'm reading it right off the label. What I'm testing is their claim that it eliminates odor-causing bacteria and wet feet, and I figured the best way to test out that claim is to actually wear the socks. I figure if their technology actually works, that if their claims are true that there is no odor or scent to be detected, that after a period of time my socks shouldn't have any kind of stinky, smelly, funky odor to them. Of course, this means I have to go against normal conventions by wearing the socks multiple days in a row without washing them. Yeah, I know, that's pretty darn gross, but really, how else am I going to test out the claims that the silver technology really works?
I'm back, and I'm ready to talk socks. As you could tell from the previous clips, I have been wearing them on and off for about a week, and I have to say they are living up to their expectations of being odor resistant. Now I know you're gonna have to trust me on this. There's no smell-o-vision out there on YouTube, but do you really think I'd be sitting here sniffing up a pair of stanky old socks for you in front of the camera? Okay, for those of you who are thinking that I would, let's be clear. No, I wouldn't. These socks, I'm telling you, they're living up to their claims. And the reason for that is, if we look at the contents of what makes up these socks, there is 3% silver fibers being used to make these socks. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Girl, why are you wearing silver? It can cause cancer. Ah! Yes, I know. Silver technology in clothing is controversial. And I'm not here to debate that controversy. I just wanted to point out so that those of you who are conscientious about that sort of thing know that these socks contain silver, and if that's not your thing, you'll want to pass. But for the rest of us out there who are ready and willing to take those risks, all for the sake of odor resistance, that's why these things are odor resistant. Now, I want to point out too that if you go out to Cabela's website and look up these socks, you're going to find that there is a disclaimer that these socks aren't 100% odor proof. And basically, they're just covering their butts because there are going to be instances where somebody's going to come along and say, well, I wore these socks and they still stink, because there are people out there whose feet are just frankly really stanky. And no matter what type of technology that you're putting into them socks, their socks are just gonna reek. Just saying. But I do want to say that, again, for me, the technology is working. So, very pleased about that. One thing I want to point out though that I find curious is that how much they look like they've aged since I started wearing them. And what I mean by that is, you know, how something looks all shiny brand new when you first put it on and there's no evidence of any kind of pilling on the fabric. Well, I haven't washed these socks yet, not even once, which is not my normal, because normally when I buy clothing I wash it first thing because of the chemicals and the processes that they use in manufacturing. But because of the odor resistance claim, I just threw them on right away, didn't bother to wash them. Wanted to test that out. So the wearing on these socks isn't coming from washing and drying, it's actually coming from having worn them. So the next thing I'm going to do is wash these because I'm interested to see how well they hold up to some washing. Now, there are special instructions for these socks that if you are going to wash them, because at some point, let's face it, you are going to have to wash them because, you know, that odor technology is only going to go so far. That you are going to want to turn them inside out and then wash them in cold water and gentle cycle. And then when you're done, if you put them in the dryer, you're not going to want to put any heat on. So I'm going to wash them, and I'll probably let them line dry and then toss them in the dryer for 5-10 minutes after they're dry, just to fluff them up on no heat. And then we'll take a look to see how well, how the fabric looks, how well it's retained its shape, because I feel like the socks have somewhat stretched out a bit from wearing, so be interested to see how well they spring back. And then we'll discuss more or less my final conclusions about these socks. They're dry, so I'm just going to pop them in the dryer now for 10 minutes or so on no heat, just to fluff them up. They took about 6 or 7 hours to air dry, hanging on. Now they're even fresher than they were before. Final thoughts on the socks. What did I think of them? Hey, I think they're great for outdoor activities where you're concerned about your feet stinking. So if you're a hunter, definitely don't have to worry about any kind of human scent coming off your socks because of the anti-stink properties. I like that they are over the calf, so they pull up and they stay up. I didn't have any issues with the socks falling down when I was wearing them. I like that they're made in the USA. Yes, surprisingly, these socks are made in the USA. That I thought was a big plus and one of the main reasons why I purchased them. Something that I wanted to point out though that's on the product description card that came with the socks is, if you look at the back, and I'll put that up here on the screen so you can read along with me, it says in tiny print, 100% fine grade itch-free wool against the skin from top to toe. Yet when you read the contents of the fibers that make up the socks, nowhere does it say anything about wool. It's Coolmax, polyester, nylon, silver, and the lycra spandex. No wool. So I don't know what they're trying to get at with that. To me, it seems a bit misleading in making the consumer think that there's wool, when in reality, it probably isn't. I can tell you from looking at the inside of the sock that there isn't any type of wool lining that can be found, so that kind of debunks the 100% wool from top to toe. Other thoughts about the socks? I think they would be great if you're vegan, because of course you're not having to worry about where the wool's coming from or any type of animal cruelty for that. And if you're vegan and you're looking for a type of sock that's going to have anti-stink properties, this would be it. If you're not vegan and you're not concerned about where your wool is coming from, then you may want to consider getting a sock that's either wool or a wool blend, because wool will give you the same type of anti-stink properties naturally that this proprietary blend will. As far as durability goes, as you can see from this close-up, the socks are looking pretty beat up, even though I've only washed them once. Kind of curious as to see how the socks are going to hold up for the long haul. In the meantime, this is what they look like now. As far as how I rate them, on a scale of 1 to 5, I give them a 3.8. Basically, I'm taking off a whole point for the is it wool, is it not wool, discrepancy that appears on the back of this card. Maybe to you that's not a big deal, but to me it is. As far as the other 2/10 that's coming off, I'm taking off because the socks weren't nearly as warm as I thought they would be, and because they look awfully fuzzy for only having washed them once. Those are my thoughts. What I want to know is, if you had $10, would you spend them on the She outdoor socks like I did? Or would you go spend the $10 on another type of socks? Maybe a wool blend or a 100% wool pair of socks. Let me know what you would do in the comments section below. And now that I've exhausted this topic of socks, I think it's time I get on out of here and go do some major adventuring. Until next time, this is Sightseeing Sally.
Special thanks goes out to all our fellow sightseers here on Patreon and PayPal. Without you, these videos wouldn't be possible. And I'm even wearing my new socks. See? Now my feet won't stink.